Ladies and gentlemen,
Hey guys, Rick here, welcome to the D-Pad. I'm by myself here today because I have a bit of an apology to make. You'll notice we're inside the Flutter. I'm actually going to talk to Roll and have her get us over to the Closer Ruins, the Cardon Forest. I think the Closer Ruins is where the Flutter is stationed right now. Wait, hang on. No, do I just want to go outside? I think I just want to go outside. So, we recorded 2 more episodes. Me and Ben and John actually turned up for it. But unfortunately, our recording setup, which I'm now keeping an eye on to make absolutely sure that it is still actually doing the recording thing, fucked up. It wound up not recording for about, I'd say, 40 minutes at the end. So we lost basically all the exploration of this dungeon that we did. I don't think we finished the dungeon. I'm pretty sure I got all the keys that get me into the very bottom of this whole thing, but I figured what I'd do, just so that, you guys actually get a video, so I'm not holding back on you guys or anything, is actually, I don't actually know which way I'm supposed to go here. I'm going to kind of give you a bit of a tour of the dungeon. Yeah, this is the correct direction. A bit of a tour of the dungeon to show you what we checked out. And, make sure you guys don't feel like you, missed out on a whole dungeon. I think this is one of the last, above-ground dungeons. I don't know if there's any more after this. I guess technically this one isn't even really above ground either, but, I think after this, the only ones that are really left are, the 2, end game things. So I want to... one of them is, the lead into the end game, and the last one is the actual end of the game. So I want to make sure that we are able to check it all out. And unfortunately, we made a very stupid mistake that we're not going to be, doing more of in the future, and that is we have access to multiple save files. When we lose video footage, especially in a situation where we don't have save states, it's very easy for us to accidentally save over, progress that we otherwise wouldn't have lost. Like, if we had multiple save states or multiple save games, then it would be very easy for us to, notice, oh shit, something went wrong. All right, take it back, and then we'll just, we'll try it again and all that stuff. And that happened a couple times with Fire Red. I want to say even Leaf Green had a little bit of that at one point. Way less so than Fire Red. I'm kind of checking holes just to make sure I cleared them all while I was here. But so we used one save state, one save game. We didn't realize until it was too late that the footage didn't capture, and so we ultimately wound up losing this dungeon along with its mid boss, unfortunately, which is, or maybe it's the actual boss. I'm pretty sure that we didn't do the full actual thing that we need to do, finish here once we got the keys, which is it's these 3 wolf dog sort of looking things. These guys suck, but they do give you a lot of money. These 3 wolf dog-looking Reaver bots that are very aggressive, very quick too. You basically are strafing through the room the entire time. These guys. And the good news is, while you guys didn't get a chance to see those guys in action, they do show up in the final area of the game. So you will get a chance to see them. I'll point them out. They're the only dog-like robots in this entire game, so it's not exactly going to be, easy to miss. Can I just knock him off the fucking thing here? I did. Oh, nice. I don't know if you guys tuned in for the Patreon hangout. If you're one of our Patreon folks, you get to join with us live once a month for hanging out and chatting and Q&A and just sort of a like a newslettery style, hey, here's what's going on with the channel, here's some stuff we're working on, which is always a good time. But we had mentioned this is one, I know I've said it about 1,000 times now, this is one of my favorite games from as a kid. I also didn't have a PlayStation, so I didn't really have a chance to play Mega Man Legends 2 until much, much later. And I still haven't actually finished it, so when we get around to that, that's going to be a brand new experience for me. But I grew up with this one on the N64. Which actually, now that I think about it, probably had even worse controls than this one. John and Ben both kind of gave up on playing this one only because the controls are so frustrating, and I get that. I don't know if we've actually described them so far. I've already checked these holes on all these pillars, by the way. I don't know if we've actually described them so far. The default setting is use the D-pad, not the stick. The stick doesn't do anything, to run around. Use the shoulder, the L1 and R1 buttons to turn in place, because otherwise you're just strafing like that. So it's kind of tank controls. It's a little like... It's like a half and half mix thing going on, which is a little awkward. It's kind of tricky to get used to. Is this where I came from? It might be. Oh no, this brings us back here. Okay. But yeah, it's definitely tricky to get used to. It's a little bit awkward, and it mostly comes as a result of this game came out before dual analog sticks on PlayStation. It just precedes that, so it's one of those games where it just kind of had to deal with it. The good news is, and let's see, that goes there, this goes here. The good news is, Mega Man Legends 2 does actually, from what I'm told, use the dual analog stick. So we will, I think I've already been there. I think this is how I got into this room in the first place. So we will be able to, yeah, this is how I entered in. We will be able to hopefully get them to play some of that, and me too. Honestly, I've never played that one, so I'm real excited for the opportunity. And let's go this way first. This is pretty good. Oh, hello, hi. Oh, these guys suck. They sit on the ceiling, and they are really weird, and I don't like them. Granted, they give you a load of cash, so it's not that bad, all things considered. I think I can live with it. I'm hoping I can get some more upgrades for my Buster pretty soon, because not that this is not doing well for me, but like, you know, a little upgrade would be nice. Just a teeny bit of extra firepower. Some more money. If I can get my hands on more Zenny, it'll be good for upgrades for the special weapons, though I think the powered arm is about as strong as it'll get at this point. I think we should try to get the black armor before we're like done with this game. I think that's probably a reasonable thing to try to do. Now I have to remember which way I came. Oh, that's right. So there's a thing right here. It's a little hidden. There you go. A lot of your explosive weapons will blow that up. But yeah, the black armor you can get in this game basically by being an asshole. I think the main way is by blowing up vending machines and kicking dogs. I want to say that there's another way to do that, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. So you had to go find a generator at one point in order to get this elevator to work. And I think this was the room where I fought the wolves. Yeah, this was the room where I fought the three wolves, whose names I unfortunately don't remember. Maybe I can add it in post. Thank you. And yeah, no, it's let's see what's over here. Oh, this is probably going to lead us up above. That's the generator right there that you had to turn on. And you have to beat the wolves to get to this point so you can get above the generator. I don't know if I actually searched over here for treasure, if there is any. I got to be careful I don't fall off. This is the platform is specifically made to be higher up than where you can jump. All right, so treasure was over here. All right. So we'll head back this way. King of the world. Boom. I mistakenly thought that I was going to be fighting those dudes here. I mean, can you blame me? It's a giant room, huge open space with a, frankly, kind of threatening purple thing just in the distance looming, which at the time when we came in the first time, we didn't realize it was the generator. We just thought it was like, oh, here's just decoration for the room. Though this game is kind of pragmatic, I guess, or practical when it comes to its just everything. Like it's kind of the cardinal sin of early 3D. Nintendo, the N64 and the PlayStation were both super guilty of this. Just because people were still figuring out how to make everything mesh right. But basically, the rule of thumb is the same as it is for like old cartoons from like the 60s and 70s. If something was going to be interactable, it will stand out whether they want it to or not from just the surrounding background. Usually, they don't want it to be like that. They want that stuff to blend in, but like it was sort of just something that came with the was something that you just kind of had to deal with as a developer. That like, oh, this interactable moving thing is going to be generating the pixels for it on the fly, as opposed to the backgrounds, which are stationary. So you can render them really nicely for one, for the one angle it's going to get, and then you don't have to deal with like the JPEGiness of the artifacts or anything like that. It's one of the things that makes Final Fantasy VII kind of interesting, is just that like and this leads outside, I think, right? Or this leads into the main like area here, and I still can't blow up those walls, unfortunately. At least I don't think I can. I don't think I've actually tried my powered up power arm. I'm gonna assume that I can't, but I mean I'll give it a shot while I'm here. But yeah, like in Final Fantasy VII in particular, it's the biggest one that stands out to me. Is like the backgrounds are huge and elaborate and beautiful, but it is easy to see what you can interact with versus what you definitely cannot interact with. Now, yeah, no, okay, that's kind of what I thought. Now the size of things was usually so small on like the more secret stuff on purpose, so you can tell as well. But like, oh, there's 4 coats on the wall, but one of them looks a little bit like the color is a little bit off, or like it looks like a little bit. There's more edges to it or something. Like it just doesn't quite mesh the same way. It's usually a pretty good indicator that you can interact with it. I would imagine that some games would have tried to mess with that a little bit by like intentionally putting dummy, elements onto the field just to get players to think they could interact with stuff and have it not be the case, or like get it to feel a little bit more unified, I guess. But at the same time too, if it's just an image, it takes up way less space than an image plus a whole bunch of 3D objects. So I mean, nowadays we don't have to worry about it, thankfully, because game sizes are so large and the discs and the cartridges are so huge that you don't really have to be so concerned about space anymore. Obviously, it's still an issue, but it's not. You're never going to be sacrificing 3D for 2D anymore. That's kind of a product of the end of the 90s and the very early 2000s. The DS had a couple issues with that. But again, that's moving from like faux pre-rendered 3D to actual 3D, and like there was a lot of stuff going in there. I'm trying to remember which side I started from. I think it was the bottom, right? Started from the bottom, and now we're here. So let's go back to the bottom and see if we actually, because we picked up keys, but we didn't actually wind up completing the level because it was the end of the episode, and that's how this works. So I think this brings us back into the big room, I think. One with the 3 dudes. Sure it does. Okay, let's kill these guys again. That's one thing that kind of bums me out, is like, yeah, if you stay in the dungeon, then all the enemies will stay dead no matter how many rooms away you go. Except sometimes if you enter into a new loading zone, it'll regenerate everybody. If you go outside, if you leave the dungeon and go to a different area altogether, then they will definitely respawn. Which, on the one hand, probably means that it'd be a little easier to, grind for money if I actually tried to. Some people call grinding for money farming, which is probably, the word I should have used, but I didn't because I couldn't remember it. Grinding for money. My favorite grinding for money simulator, Harvest Moon 64. Oof. So, I understand that Harvest Moon isn't Harvest Moon anymore. Like, Harvest Moon from, 2002 and back is not the same as Harvest Moon from 2003 and forward. And, the old franchise had to change its name, and the new franchise is owned by a different company altogether or something. It's this really bizarre... One of these days, I'm sure I'll make a video on it because it's just such a strange case. But I want to say this is probably where the keys are going to come into play, right? Yeah, so this is the control room where all this shit's going down. I think what we're going to do, because it has been about one episode's worth of time, is we're going to make sure that we don't, leave everybody, all the other guys out of all the new stuff. So we're going to flip that switch for you guys next time on Monday, I guess, right? And I'll see you guys then if I can jump up here so I can go and save in a new save file so I can make sure that we don't, fuck this up anymore. Bye!
Get on it. Once again, back is the incredible Mega Man. Refuse to lose.
Get on it. Get up.
Once again, back is the incredible Mega Man. Refuse